Tallboys and Trackmasters is brought to you by Expert Exhaust. Expect more for your money. KDR Suspension. Unlock your full potential with KDR. High Gear Success. From helping riders get sponsored to motorsports event operation and promotion, shift your passion into high gear. Track 93, the place to get ready to race. And by IADV. From routes, guided tours, and more, we'll help you get lost.
Yeah, for some reason, when I see a log, my sphincter tightens, I start to tremble, I go all sweaty.
I'm a big fan of the 1.5 pork chop cans, personally.
You gotta make sure you get your protein and carbohydrates all in one shot.
Yep.
Nice looking bike.
That thing would look good with a hot fender too.
Yes, it would. Yeah.
Got the line.
Yes, it does.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into episode 93 of Tallboys
And Trackmasters. Is that a OG Coors?
Yes, sir. The banquet.
That's a banquet too, in the little stubby bottle.
Oh, those are the best.
The batch I got had caps that were put on by He-Man himself.
Do those caps still have the little playing card things underneath of them?
No, it's just nothing.
Some of the ones I used
You
to
don't even get Monopoly pieces like you do at Nicky D's.
Yeah, there you go. Now, some of the ones I used to have, you could almost make a whole playing card out of them, or playing card deck. But it's Coors Banquet, baby. Coors Banquet. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
I like it.
we appreciate everybody tuning in tonight, as always. And if you can do so, please give us a like and a subscribe. It helps the channel out. Trevor, how have you been, my friend?
Been good. Been busy. Been doing some home renovation. So you know how that goes. But I'd rather talk about how you fared with the last rally.
Oh, I'm still sore, if that tells everybody anything.
Well, you look horrible.
Yeah, and that my face hasn't changed that much, I don't think. But no, it was good. It was the series finale for the 24 Hours of Appalachia. This was Haunted Haulers 2, which conveniently took place in Boonville, Kentucky, which was the exact same area that we were just in at the Red River Scramble, which kind of paid dividends because a lot of the stuff that we got to run at Drew Faulkner's ride was also included on the 24-hour rally as well. So I kind of had a little bit better game plan and idea of what I was getting into as far as the route was concerned. But took off first out of downtown Boonville. There was 3 separate laps, each lap concluding at the Back Roads of Appalachia and AOT property, which is Eric Hubbard's place. Really good mix of terrain. It was definitely the hardest trail-wise of any of the 24-hour rallies that I've done here recently. Did on the Gas 700. Took off first, got to ride a little while with Perry Hoover and Chris Alls, who were your overall champs for the end of the day. Still brought home third place, had some issues here and there, but finished 410 miles in basically 13 hours flat. So long day, but a successful day. I'll take a top 3 anytime.
And your bike stayed together.
It did. Had a slight little mishap on the highway of all places was my hardest crash. Kind of a little bit of distracted riding, but other than the shifter and a few little bumps and bruises here, we're good to go. So they already released the schedule for next year and looking forward to that.
Do you have any issues with your navigation charging?
No, that situation has resolved itself there.
Nice.
I was thankful to have the new Adventure Spec rally fairing to put the tablet up a little bit higher in my field of view where I wasn't constantly looking down to check my new navigational stuff. But yeah, dude, everything, I think this is the first rally I've done where every single piece of equipment that I had worked like it was supposed to. So I think that kind of was a key to my success there. But yeah,
Well,
good
I
time.
hope you enjoyed it, 'cause that's probably the only instance.
Yeah. I urge anybody that's on the fence about trying one of those to push yourself and do it. So, and speaking of pushing yourself, we're going to get into tonight's meat and potatoes of the subject, throttle therapy. So, Trevor, I think you can attest to this as much as I can, that there is a massive mental health crisis in this country, not just here in the United States, but worldwide.
Yeah.
People are constantly looking for different outlets to, get rid of the stresses of daily life or whatever problems you have going on in your life itself. And I'm sure you, me, anybody in the club, or a lot of people that watch our show can attest to the fact of how motorcycles can kind of be a medicine to help with those anguishes and those anxieties and whatnot. So
sure. Yeah, there's definitely a mental health crisis, especially among young men. Increasingly leading lives without purpose as a result of how everything's structured. And I mean, I'm not in here to get political, but long story short, I believe that some sense of adventure, some sense of challenge, of struggle, like especially overcoming challenge and struggle, it's just really missing from a young man's life in a lot of ways. I've always been big on the outdoors, hiking, camping, etc., hunting. But riding for me was an even more, I guess, mentally clearing activity because it forces every limb to do something.
Right.
So that was big for me to have to focus on everything at once. And it makes my brain shut up. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that too as well. I would agree with your sentiment there. People may not know this about me, but I'll kind of open myself up here a little bit. But I've struggled with depression, anxiety, and mental health issues since I was like 15, 16 years old. And motorcycles have always been that one outlet that I can do and do fairly well, at least in my opinion, to take away all those problems, all those issues. Like you said, motorcycling and riding in the way that we do a lot of times is such a demanding thing that it requires your full attention to do at a decent speed, pace, and level. So anything that you can do like that to shut the brain off is going to help with those issues. And motorcycles, basically my entire life has been that outlet to, put my stresses away, shut the brain off for a little while and relax and just, enjoy it and have a good time. So I think that's true for a lot of young men and older men and anybody really, that if you are having those issues, we need to find an outlet for those problems. And the motorcycles, at least in our opinion, I think is something that can help with those and help with a lot of different coping mechanisms as well.
I think a big contributing factor to, I don't want to say outright depression, but the mental health crisis is the way that people occupy their time anymore. And I've been guilty of it myself, is it's not good. It's not constructive. Like, scrolling.
Doom scrolling.
You're doing yourself zero favors. Especially if the weather's nice, you could be out doing something, learning something. Your time's a lot better spent that way. But, just having a hobby that you can continue to get better at is a good feeling, or you try to continue to get better at.
You don't give up on it, at least.
Yeah, I've at least proven that I'm too dumb to give it up. So
yeah. It's there's so many different things going on in a person's life too. I mean, we've talked about it multiple times that, you know, this sport is such a cool way to mix people from all walks of life. And
Yep.
I've always been that type of person that I don't judge anybody, because you have no idea what somebody's going through behind closed doors. But if you have that common, you know, that common denominator, if you want to call it that, of motorcycles, that's a way for not only myself to get out of a funk or get out of depression or what have you, but also enjoy it with other people who are probably going through the same thing as well. And you have no idea how bad they may be going through something like that.
The community and camaraderie surrounding this hobby is really, it's a huge benefit. It's really nice. It's great to get together with your boys and just go ride.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of going out and having a good time. It's a great feeling. That's another issue too, is, in the process of becoming more connected via social media, we've all become more isolated from one another. A lot of community revolved around, I guess, like outside of church and similar activities, a lot of community surrounded hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're into golf heavily, you hung out with your golf buddies, et cetera, et cetera. But now, as people are having just fewer and fewer hobbies in general, like I don't even consider sitting and watching Netflix to be a hobby. But that's one thing that I see as a significant benefit is the way that this community is structured, the whole concept of we're all out there to do the same thing, survive.
Yeah.
And no, we're all out there to have a good time. Everybody's seeking some form of adventure. So just having that common goal, I think, really helps to unite, the guys you ride with, especially you get around some new riders.
Yeah. There's so much that goes into it, and we'll kind of break down a little bit of it here. But first up is basically the science of stress. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to go through tonight is from a website that is absolutely fascinating. I'll share the link to it after the show, called Motorcycle Missions. And they have kind of broken down a lot of different university and medical studies about stress and how motorcycles can help alleviate that. Just a couple of things here. There was a 2021 study done in UCLA. It was actually funded by Harley Davidson to kind of prove that motorcycles can help you not only mentally but physically with your body. And what they found was that just a quick 20-minute ride on a motorcycle can significantly reduce the biomarkers of stress. So stress itself is a hormone called cortisol. And it's insane to think that just a quick little 20-minute ride showed that it would reduce that cortisol stress hormone by 28%. And they really did liken it to, light exercise, yoga, meditation. And I think we can kind of agree that a lot of times motorcycles are our meditation, whether it be riding them, working on them, just being around them in general.
Yep, I agree. There is a book that I read a long time ago, probably before I started riding, actually. It's called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
The book isn't about working on a motorcycle so much as it's about working on you. But it's a great read. Like I said, it's been a while since I read it, but it gets suggested a lot anytime somebody's talking about motorcycle related literature. And on the topic of yoga, I have been folded up by a bike in positions I didn't think were possible.
I had that happen to me multiple times over the weekend, dude. My hips are killing me. I feel like I was Batista bombed by the gas a few times.
Yeah. But
no, but I mean, you can kind of go ahead.
I don't understand how somebody could exist in the modern world and not be stressed.
Well, there's so many factors,
like
man.
It's stressful times. It's a stressful place. I know some people can just tune it all out. I'm not as good as I'd like to be, but that's just another reason to have a disconnect hobby. That's part of why I like going camping so much too, is it's a disconnect hobby. Get out of service, get away from everything, and you start to feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, stress is all around you, whether it's, your job or family issues, what have you. I mean, you're not going to get away from it unless you're a billionaire. Yeah, probably have stress too, I would think. But I mean, obviously, you're talking about increased risk of high blood pressure, heart attacks, mental anguish, and I kind of hate to say it, but also suicide. Suicide rates are crazy high. I think it's the third leading cause of death in young men in the United States right now. So anything that you can do to alleviate that is obviously a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. On the topic of riding for the sake of your mental health, that's one of the reasons I don't hang it up. I enjoy it too much. It's had some downs, but there's been a lot of ups through the years. It's really been, I mean, it's been great overall. But people who have never done it will never understand it.
It's true. And I'm sure there's also
that statement is that simple. The people I work with can't fathom even why you would want to do something like that.
Right.
And meanwhile, I can't fathom why you don't want to play golf.
It might be their stress reliever too. I forget. I forget the name. There was a comedian, and he was on a podcast. And I'll have to find it. It's driving me crazy. I can't think of it right now, but he was explaining the difference between, riding in a car somewhere or traveling in a plane, and just how different motorcycle travel is compared to everything else. He said it's still the only form of transportation where you're still out in those elements. Like, you can feel the temperature change. You can smell the smells. You can
smell the roadkill on 100-degree day.
Right. You can smell the sewer treatment plant now. Like, it's the last form of travel where your body and your mind is still out there experiencing everything firsthand. You're not getting that secondhand information as it comes through. Yeah, Jim Montaigne just called me a Matthew McConaughey. That's exactly who it was. I remember that now. But, experiencing those things and seeing new places and being hyper focused like you have to be, it just craves my appetite. Like, I continue to eat that type of thing up. And, all those mental problems or stresses in your life, like they go away behind the handlebars. Like I said, you keep seeing new things, meeting new people, challenging yourself in new terrain. Like, there's just so much that a motorcycle can give you to help you get away from all that stuff.
Yeah. If you, some days it feels like you have to trick your brain into releasing like endorphins. Feel like you're tricking it into releasing dopamine. Because like in most people's day-to-day lives, it's not a lot of, fun, exciting stuff happening, unless you're fortunate enough to go for that 20-minute ride that you're talking about after work, which is when the weather's nice. It's one of my favorite things to do, is just come home, gear up, and go disappear for an hour or so.
Exactly.
And that's really beneficial to me. But yeah, I notice a huge spike in feel-good chemicals, especially getting back to camp or back home after a ride or whatever, and just sitting and thinking through like where you went, the terrain you rode. Man, I picked a really good line through that. Last time I tried this, I failed miserably, but this time I got it right off the bat. Like, there's a lot of really good feelings that come from a good, successful ride.
100%, man. And, a lot of times, if you're just overstressed to the point where you need to release that stress, a motorcycle is not going to, fight back at you. Like, it's going to take all the throttle you want to input it in, throwing yourself into that berm or hitting that hill climb, or just, that kind of angry state. Like the motorcycle doesn't care most of the time, unless you're just flipping it upside down on purpose or whatnot. But
Tyler Vincent.
Sorry, Tyler. Dude, there's been so many times growing up where I've come home from school, work, what have you, and just had the most awful day, and you just gritting your teeth and you just want to take that frustration out as hard as you can. So go out and do a quick 30-minute moto, and you're just absolutely punishing the bike into the ground as hard as you can. And it just keeps asking for more, just taking it. Like that release in itself is something else that really has helped me throughout my years, for sure. And like you said, a lot of times, working on a motorcycle, like just having that mental focus of, sitting down, cracking open a couple cold ones, and just working through your problems in a mechanical sense is also a big help as well.
As long as it's going good.
Yeah, it could go worse.
As long as it's going good.
So that's the other side of the coin, though, right? Like, there's been multiple times where I've been extremely stressed out and had a bad day, and the motorcycle kind of made it worse in the end.
There's been several instances like that for me, and it's just sometimes my brain's so clouded that I'm just not in a headspace to do it.
Yeah.
And if you're not in a headspace to do it, you're risking, you're probably going to make a mistake. If your head's not in it, you're probably going to make a stupid mistake. And there's been days like that I just give up on doing anything remotely difficult. And I'm like, I'm just going to go ride gravel at whatever pace I feel is right.
Right.
And then normally I find myself after, 15, 20 minutes just putting around on gravel just to get out, that I want to go do something a little bit more challenging. You just kind of work yourself back into it.
Yeah.
So, but on the topic of working on bikes, like I really like to turn wrenches. We had that yellow Project Trail 90 that ended up being way more involved than we thought it was gonna. But a lot of the work that we did to it, went pretty positively. And then the stuff that didn't go good really, really didn't do good. You want to try to source a 1970 whatever Sunfire yellow gas tank for one of those things. Good luck.
Yeah.
But
like we were saying, there's been multiple times where I've had a bad day and decided to go ride to try to, clear my head, or even the wife kind of picks up on, hey, go ride, get out of the house. You need to go ride for a little bit. But, I've come back with, you try to go ride, and then it's like Murphy's Law. Like you're just trying to overcome it the whole time, and everything's just going wrong. Like, well, I went to go do my favorite hobby to release my stress, and now I'm more stressed because I've got to rebuild my bike. My strap broke, and it knocked a hole in my back glass, my camper top. Like there's been, I'm sure that has happened to a lot of people where you try to go relieve that stress, and now you have more stress.
Man, it's it almost feels like a law of the universe that the more like dark and bitter you're feeling, the more dark and bitter events like cling on to you.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty crazy how that works. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. That's going to take us to
there's
our
a lot
next
of
Yep. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I think we're about to segue into it. Just go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say the next kind of caveat or topic here is just, mindful moto. So a couple more little things, and we'll kind of keep circling back and touching on a lot of this. And as you said there too, Trevor, earlier, and as they say here on this website, motorcycle riding is not a passive thing. It's an active, full body experience. You're steering, shifting, braking, you're using muscles that you don't normally use. And that fosters a powerful mind and body connection. And when you get into that certain flow state where you don't even have to think about your next action, your body is just automatically making that turn. Like you said, you've got the perfect zen piece of riding where you're not thinking about your line choice. You're just doing it. That state is something that non-motorcycle riders will never experience. I don't think. Maybe race car drivers have that, but when you are this focused, the blinders are on, and you are just in that zone, dude. I mean, that's an endorphin high that I think we all chase.
Oh yeah. Getting into flow state is amazing. And, being out at Red River, there were a couple instances that, of course, it didn't last as long as I'd like them to, but I got back in it. I finally got back in flow state for the first time since, my spill and all that junk. But, man, what a rush. What a feeling. You start to feel like the bike is just an extension of your body. There is zero conscious thought happening. Everything is subconscious and reaction based.
Right.
And it's just, I wish I could ride like that all the time. I'd be such a better rider, because if there's not a first thought about a line, there can't be a second thought about a line. Like if you don't even think once, you can't think twice. So
yeah. And then also, like you kind of mentioned just right there, being able to challenge yourself mentally as well, because, in my opinion, at least, motorcycle riding is at least 50% mental. You have to be able to break through those blocks, those barriers where, oh, I can't make it up this hill. I'll never make it through this rock garden as fast as all these other guys do. Well, that's also an endorphin high, and, setting yourself goals and challenges and just crushing them, man, that feeling as well is just as good as a flow state.
When I got to the bottom of that one section of single track, and I was so used to you guys being sitting there for like 5 minutes or more waiting on me, and you're like, oh yeah, we just got down here. You almost got down the same time we did. I was like, yeah, I was riding that high for a little while.
Yeah.
So, but on the topic of, the mental aspects of everything, this is a hobby that if you're going to continue to be involved in it, you're going to learn to be resilient.
Yeah,
there's no two ways about it. It for me, it was difficult to get back into it following my crash last year. Right, last year, 2024. Yeah, my crash last year, and I was having, when you first pitched Red River, in my mind, I was like, I don't know, I'm at a practice, I don't want to be that far from home and all that stuff, and I thought, nope, this is a good chance to just go do it. And extremely glad that I did. But it's hard to get back to where you were if you can't overcome the side of your mind that just wants to keep reliving what happened.
Right. And that's true for pretty well everything in your life, a crash, or, a crash and burn in your personal life. And I wholeheartedly agree that if you are that type of person that likes to set challenges and smash them and go on to the next challenge, doing that on the motorcycle can also translate to your actual life and your personal goals. Like you said, coming back from an injury, being able to persevere. I've done the same thing myself. Had a lot of weird blows put to me in my life, but knowing that you can conquer that in your personal life and on a motorcycle just makes you such a more well-rounded person.
Yep.
And, that's part of the reason why I really like doing these 24-hour of Appalachia events, dude. It's a total mental game. Like, people asked a lot, like, how do you prepare? What do you need to do? Like, 70% of this is completely mental, because whenever you set yourself out to do this and you have 24 hours to complete 500 miles, and it's not just 500 miles of pavement, it is 500 miles of mixed stuff and some nasty, nasty trails, just like it was down in Kentucky. And you get to that mental block where you're looking down at your tablet and you still have 400 miles to go. You feel like you've been riding all day, and just being able to mentally push yourself through those obstacles is also another kind of Zen-like feeling. And coming across that finish line, dude, is something else. Like, I was telling the guys down there, like, Betty Bowman Road, if you've been in Kentucky, you know what that road is, was 10 miles from the finish line. It was the hardest thing the whole entire day. I crashed my brains out, and it's the slickest creek bed I've ever ridden in my life. But pushing myself mentally to get through that, get to the top, and realize you have 8 miles to the finish line. And I kind of well knew that I was in third place at that point. But just, dude, that endorphin rush of coming up that hill and seeing the archway and knowing that you finish and you accomplish something like that is just something I'll always treasure for sure. And there's so many experiences like that you can have on a motorcycle, not just a 24-hour rally, you know, finding a difficult road that you know about that maybe you've tried a couple of times and you've failed every single time. But that one time that you make it to the top of that road, dude, you're going to cherish that for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is always a good feeling to finally have gotten good enough to overcome, you know, difficult sections, things of that nature.
Yeah. And you know, I just feel like not only do motorcycles help you mentally, help you, you know, throw away the stresses of life for a brief period of time, but setting challenges like you can, like on that motorcycle, also it's just another good, awesome high. I just love it. So cool. They kind of continue on, and we kind of discussed this as well. You know, riders often describe feeling oneness with their bike. You know, that sense of harmony and being a deep part of the machine and the journey can be deeply therapeutic. It's a form of active mindfulness that helps block out anxiety and stress and allowing you to completely focus on the road ahead.
Yeah, your ability to trust in your machine and your tires is a huge part of the mental battle. Like if you get a bike that you can trust the front end on, you can conquer.
Yes.
Like I really, most of the time, I do not care what the back end's doing.
I'm the same way.
Sliding the back end out, fun, great,
Yeah,
we love it.
We can deal with
the
that.
front end even a little bit, terrifying. No, do not like it.
Yeah.
So
that's another thing too,
yeah,
that kind of stress and fear like gets those endorphins up as well, you know, like, oh, it's a little sketchy here. Like dude, I kind of live for those moments as well.
It was crazy at the campground. I mean, we unloaded our bikes, went and rode around that single track, and I was slow, cautious, but I felt good about it, you know. And then we got onto that gravel, just like marbles, dude. And it annihilated every shred of confidence I had, because it felt exactly the way my front end did after I flattened my front tire before you know, I cocked that thing sideways and away I went. So that was essentially like reliving that whole feeling. It really took it out of me early in the day. Got it back, you know, got the good feeling back, but dude, yeah, it's crazy how stuff like that works out.
It really is. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. There's good, there's bad. But like you were saying though too, there's that gravel that we did down there was all on the 24-hour rally as well. So it didn't go away from me either. Like fought it all day long. Like that kind of clinch factor, you know, was there all day long, which keeps you on your toes. And there's something to be said with that, man. Just challenging yourself, living on that ragged edge, but still being in that flow state, and especially being able to share that flow state with a group of guys that you like to ride with, or girls or what have you. And, you know, kind of what we're going to get to here on the last little segment of this, you know, back road benefits. We kind of mentioned it, you know, going to a new place, experiencing new places, new food, new people, you know, that sense of community that you have here with dual sport and adventure motorcycle riding is unparalleled when it comes to any type of hobby, in my opinion. You know, we've said it so many times that everyone comes from different walks of life. You don't know what they're going through, but getting together and sharing that common interest, that common hobby, it's just good for everyone. It's good for the entire community.
One interesting thing about especially the more enduro-oriented side of this hobby is the level of trust that you have to have in the guys you're riding with, especially when it comes down to when things don't go right. You know, just like trail fixes, for instance, having enough guys there with enough stuff to get your bike lined out and at least make it back to the closest main road. That's a big one. another unfortunate one is in the case of injury, guys that are going to help you to get to the closest main road, get home, whatever. You do not want guys that are just going to treat you like a burden because you got injured. And then, that's just going to make your situation even worse mentally.
Exactly. But
there's few other hobbies that you have to have that level of like trust in the guys that you're out there with.
Exactly.
Maybe like backcountry hunting and stuff like that, but
yeah. But that sense of perseverance that can be shared with a group of like-minded individuals is also another really great mental thing, in my opinion. Working out a problem together as a group where, just we'll take Chad, for example, everybody kind of finding their roles, going and doing what's necessary to remedy the situation and keep on going on the trail. We've had unfortunate injuries in our situation a time or two, and, having that know-how and that calmness of blocking out everything else and just focusing on that single task is also really, really good for your mentality.
Yeah, you also do not want to be surrounded by people that freak out.
Yeah.
Heavily. It's okay to come up on a scenario or something like that and be, to react to it is fine, but you can't be the kind of person that breaks down into hysterics,
right?
When something goes wrong, because it's just not constructive.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's people out there who've met these challenges and they're just not strong enough mentally at that time to assess that situation in a logical way and be able to help with it. But I think as motorcycle riders, especially getting into groups where you like the people that you're riding with, that trauma bonding, if you want to call it that, is a really, really impactful thing that, it can save people's lives if need be, get you out of a sticky situation, and also kind of reaffirm that fact that this community is awesome. And those are the guys you're going to count on when for the lack of a better word, the shit hits the fan. We'll kind of go through a couple of things here that Motorcycle Missions is talking about in that same sense. They're talking about that sense of community. I know our good friend Kane Wagner is big on that as well. The community of adventure and dual sport motorcycles. They say that, although motorcycling has been associated with independence and the freedom of the road, that ability to connect with others is something that's invaluable. Motorcycling community is a tight-knit, supportive community. We all share an unspoken bond, whether it's a friendly wave on the road, a group ride with friends, those inside jokes that we have with each other here and there, that you kind of get to share with a lot of other people is something that's fantastic. And, being able to bring other people in, the new guys that maybe they've been a part of different groups in their lives that, they kind of lost that sense of belonging, and you can kind of shelter them along with you and make them part of your core group of guys is something that I've always cherished as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We kind of talked about this, motorcycling itself is going to take you out of your normal comfort zone, test your limits. That sense of adventure and empowerment is very, very transformative, and it helps you build confidence and resilience. And they've shown that doing that and knocking challenges off your bucket list like that also is a way to reduce your cortisol levels, increase that endorphin. Living on the ragged edge is a good and bad thing. It can be good for your mental health and keep you hyper focused, but also it might be bad for your physical health in times.
Yep.
I would also say that if you're somebody like me that has pretty well undiagnosed ADHD, things with a motorcycle are simple enough to block out all the other excess noise. I know that I have to, instead of thinking about scenarios in your head that haven't even happened yet, now I'm thinking about the scenario of, hey, this right-hand turn's coming up with this rock garden. Let me check this line right here. I know I need a downshift, probably get in the second gear. Want to be about half throttle. that type of ADHD is good when you're on a motorcycle, and it helps kind of knock out the not so good in your normal life.
Yeah, it's working as an engineer, I pretty much think for a living. I'm very, very glad to have a hobby where I don't have to think, as much. You do it for long enough. Like I remember when I first got back into riding, which is probably 2019, I'd say. I had to think about everything. Every single movement or action was like a conscious thought. And then as I did it a little more, it all became subconscious. It became automatic. So now to be able to get back on the bike and, not have to think about everything that's happening, it's really refreshing.
Yeah.
Although I will say my first couple rides back after my incident, I was right back to everything's a manual, everything's a manual thought.
Right.
But that went away.
I would say that we've touched on this too in the past, that those maybe 10 times in your life where you're riding with a group and every single person in that group is just hitting everything completely perfect. There's no mistakes. That just total zen clockwork. All the puzzle pieces are coming together in a group ride. Like we all chase that. And I personally feel that you may have, a handful of times in your life where that all works together. But dude, you cannot ask for a better experience when that happens. Like it is basically like you are hovering up above everyone and you're just watching it from above. You're not thinking, you're not reacting, and chasing that is something that I think everyone on a motorcycle should try to aim for in their riding. When
the guys in your group are having a good time, it only serves to amplify the good time that you're having. Like the ability to feed off of everybody's energy or vibes or whatever you want to call it. That helped me a lot through Red River was, how much fun I saw everybody else having. And I was like, just click your brain off, ride this. None of this is stuff you haven't seen before. You're just a little bit out of practice. But yeah, the ability to kind of channel the joy that you guys were having going through most of that stuff helped out significantly.
Yeah, dude, that's good to hear as well. And I mean, let's be completely honest. I mean, at the end of the day, some of my favorite times when it comes to this hobby is just getting back to the camp and just bench racing, talking about the day, eating some good food, cracking it. Like that part in itself is just as therapeutic to me as it is being on the motorcycle and releasing all that stress and blocking out all the stuff. Like my best times of the weekend were probably us just back at camp, just talking. Like,
and without a doubt.
Like you said earlier too, like there's so many young men and young women in this country and around the world that don't have that outlet, that ability to just get together with like-minded people about a common hobby and just talk and hang out. And you would be so surprised at how those campfire conversations about what you did during the day can turn into some personal stuff where you're kind of putting your feelings out there, expressing some of your dissatisfactions with what's going on in your life. And you'd be so surprised at how many times you'll open yourself up a little bit like that. And everyone else there is going through the same stuff. And
or they've been through it and can give you meaningful advice on how to navigate what you've got going on. That's incredibly helpful.
Exactly. And everybody being from different walks of life, and let's be frank, different age groups. You find that wisdom and experience with the people that have gone through it before. And I don't know how many long night conversations I've had with you, with Chad, with Justin, with everybody, Fred, about different things not related to motorcycles. But it is such a nice, tight-knit community. There's very few a-holes in the whole group who you wouldn't have that camaraderie with. And my friendships, my deep personal friendships in my life are based off of you guys that I've met out on motorcycles, and I'm eternally grateful for that.
Yeah, it's served to give me several close relationships I definitely wouldn't have had otherwise. You know as well as I do how difficult it is, especially to make new friends as an adult, because pretty much everything is hobby based. Your friend group is going to revolve around whatever hobby you're most into. And then to nobody's own fault, everybody just gets busy and busier as time goes on. Your personal relationships, your spouse, if you have kids, if you have a home that you're constantly having to do stuff to, your work is especially crazy, work late hours. It's more and more difficult to form relationships, or to keep relationships going where maybe you really didn't have common hobbies, but you were good friends through high school or college. But having friends that are centered around a hobby helps, because there's more impetus for everybody to get together and actually hang out.
Right.
You're not just saying, no, I don't feel like going to 123 Pleasant Street or a bar or anything like that. It's man, I really want to go ride, and I get to see all my friends. Like that's great.
Yeah,
But
it really is.
There's a distinct lack of community across the board, and I think that's a huge contributing factor to why people struggle so badly. Like we were talking about, the ability to have deeper conversations with people. There's not a lot of spaces where that can go on anymore.
Yeah, and it's super unfortunate, man. Like we said, I'm pretty sure that suicide is the third leading cause of death right now in the United States. And I would encourage everybody, if you really are struggling, to obviously seek professional help. There are so many good organizations out there that can also help. I know the ladies from Wheeling for Hope are fantastic about getting, help that's available out there for people that are struggling, getting you in touch with people. And, I'll be completely honest with you. Message us, man. We'd love to take you out and go ride and get your mind away from stuff if you're going through something really bad in your life. So, yeah. And really hope that, opening ourselves up a little bit has helped somebody out there tonight that's been watching this. So,
yeah.
It's a life behind bars, right? That's what we always say. And it's a way to release yourself.
Once you're in it, it's hard to get back out.
It really is. Well, let's go through some of the comments we got here this evening. We appreciate everybody tuning in and interacting with us here. And we'll go through some of them here. Jeff Stowe. Hey, Jeff. He says, great ride Saturday, James. I hated missing it. Hey, buddy. Hope you're healing up. For those who don't know, Jeff Stowe is the father of the Kentucky Adventure Tour. And we'd love to have you here on the show here before too long, Jeff. We'll definitely get you on there. Jim Montaigne. What's up, boys? How are you, Jim? How are you doing tonight? Jamie Thomas says, thanks for covering this. Appreciate you saying that there, Jamie. Jim also says that motorcycles are a gateway drug. Okay. He's referencing Mr. Mackey there from South Park.
Yeah.
He's also saying that Matthew McConaughey was the one talking about what I was saying earlier about being on that podcast. He said he's been to the bottom at some point in his life, that went woods racing again in 2016. Those people pulled me back to reality. New friends became family. And I would 1000% echo what he's saying there. I've got family that I haven't seen in years, and I'll always love them because they're always family, but my riding family is my family without a doubt. Larry Frank Orloff says, what's up, buddy? How are you doing, Larry? Good. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Our old buddy Jeff Nash is psychotherapy. I don't know. Motorcycles are probably more expensive than actual therapy. I don't know what rates are these days for therapists, but
in my experience, is motorcycles work.
He said that's the best feeling ever. I wish more people got to experience that feeling, zoned in fully. Yeah, when you're in that zen, just not even thinking about it, state of mind, man, there's just nothing else. MCMX Production, which is our good buddy, Mr. Tom McConnell, says the 24 hours is totally mental. I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
You'd have to be unhinged to even attempt it.
You really do. Tyler Vince says, reminds me of a group of guys that got lost in a mine one time. Mental fortitude needed to get themselves out and home. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's talking about the old Hobet mine disaster adventure that we had. And yeah, it did take some mental fortitude to get us out of that situation. Jim says, ain't that the truth? Jamie Thomas says, you guys definitely helped me, man, tonight and always. Well, we appreciate that, Jamie, man. And like we said, feel free to reach out. We'll definitely go ride.
Yeah,
and
we definitely, it'd be cool to get a viewer, because we do have some regulars that are semi-local. It'd be kind of cool to get a viewer ride together one day this spring and just go have a good time.
Dude, absolutely. We can do that. We could put a little loop together and maybe do some interviews and stuff. I'd be down with that. That'd be great. Heck yeah, dude. A good idea. Tyler says, you guys specifically have helped me in ways I'll never talk about. This hobby's helped me in massive ways. That's good to hear, man. All right. We appreciate everybody's
comments. It's helped
comments.
me meet some really, really interesting people. And it's also helped me meet like nurses, orthopedic surgeons, radiologists, anesthesiologists.
Yeah, unfortunately, the fine folks at Ruby Hospital know me pretty well. Yeah. All right, my buddy. Let's get into tonight's industry news. Got a couple of things on the docket, especially maybe some new bike news here. Well, Trevor, we kind of broke the news on the Facebook page there a while back. We've been waiting for this freaking motorcycle for over 2 years since it was released at EICMA, but the new KLE 500 has been released, and we were correct in our assumptions that with the single front disc that it was going to meet A2 licensure, and we have a Kawasaki middleweight adventure bike sporting the basically Ninja 500 engine. And I know you sent me here earlier kind of the specifications on this bad boy. I'll let you give it a rundown.
Okay, I'll do it. So it's a 451cc parallel twin out of the Ninja 500. The engine and other configurations makes about 51 horsepower, 6-speed trans, steel trellis frame. The engine's a stress member like KTM's adventure bikes. 6.8 inches of ground clearance, 4.2 gallon tank. Surprisingly tall seat height for the ground clearance at 33.8 inches, which is going to turn off some more novice riders. 21-inch up front, 17-inch wheel out back. Both are spoked. 43-millimeter Kayaba forks with 8.3 inches of travel up front, and Unitrack monoshock with 7.9 inches of travel out back. Selectable ABS, some other odds and ends. The weight is still unknown, but pricing for the base model starts at about $6,600.
So I did look up some stuff in addition here right before we went on, and they're kind of saying that the expected weight is somewhere around 450 pounds, give or take a little bit.
I saw guys on a couple forum posts and stuff talking, man, if this thing only weighs 350 pounds, I'm going to buy it. It's like, there's no way that thing can weigh 350 pounds. I'm sorry.
No, and
it's going to be a little heavy.
I don't know if this is the seasoned moto journalist coming out in me personally here, but I'm starting to get tired of these manufacturers at least making an effort to come out with some new dual sport and adventure motorcycles. And I've said this before, dude, we are absolutely spoiled for choice when it comes to pretty well anything that you want to do. But all you see are the negatives. Oh, it doesn't have enough ground clearance. Oh, it's too heavy. Well, we've talked about before. We designed the unicorn motorcycle. It doesn't exist. So I don't want to say shut up and be happy, because obviously there's some issues with this machine. But I told you off camera that I personally feel Kawasaki is going after that CF Moto 450 and Himalayan market with this machine. I don't think they're trying to be
this is just Kawasaki's Transalp.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
It's
They're
quite-
not trying to take
quite
down the
similar
T7.
approach.
You know,
No.
I feel personally that the new Gen KLR 650 is their Tenere 700 competitor. They're not going to want to take sales away from it. They're not going to want to take sales away from their Versus 300. This fits that middle ground of being a cheap 500cc adventure bike that I'm sure is going to sell well, and they'll be.
And it's the classic approach of just taking an engine that's already proven in other platforms and putting it into a modified chassis with more off-road oriented handling characteristics.
Right.
Yeah, this bike doesn't feel like it's a real competitor to anything but like the Honda Transalp and the CF Moto.
Yeah.
The lack of ground clearance is a big drawback.
It is.
But 43 millimeter Kayaba stuff factory, it's pretty good. But you're talking about like, we're living in like a golden era of bikes being released and everything. It goes back to the saying of the odds are good, but the goods are odd.
Yeah, that's a great statement like that.
Yeah, we're seeing these bikes come out, but all of them have some drawback that is significant enough that it just kind of turns me off.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that.
I guess, simultaneously, everything's built to a price point. Can't make everybody happy. And the way that bike's set up will serve most people who would be interested in it just fine.
Right. Absolutely. I think this does fill a void that Kawasaki had in their lineup when it comes to their dual sport bikes. Like we said, it's bigger. It's going to be more comfortable in the highway. It's going to have more horsepower than the Versus 300X. It's not as off-road rugged.
I think it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks good. It's bringing back that KLE moniker. They don't want to take away sales from everything. Like I said, that's the name of the game at the end of the day. They need to sell these units to justify the R&D that went into creating this machine. There is a market for this. It really is. That is the main attraction to this machine is that price point. And as well as I do that aftermarket manufacturers are going to have skid plates or Rally Raid's going to have some type of taller suspension to give you
make an exhaust relocation setup.
Right. It's good for everybody to have more choice.
I would be a true hypocrite to not at least kind of celebrate that a bike like this is coming out. Due solely to the affordability. That's something that we talk about on this show all the time is, this hobby is dwindling in some aspects. Younger people aren't getting into it simply because they can't afford to. So having price competitive options like that is really good, especially with the devaluation of the dollar. That's like $4,000 in 2019 money. So
yeah, more choices is not a bad thing. And you're going to have diehard Kawasaki guys that will run and buy this as soon as it's available. You're going to have guys complain about the lack of ground clearance and the long wait process to give us something that of what they thought was going to be a Tenere competitor.
Yeah.
The only other comment I would make is I was kind of surprised that it was a 500cc and they didn't do something with the Versus 650 to make it more off-road capable.
Yeah, and that's something that we discussed on an episode was that's something that surprised me too, is that they essentially just took the Ninja 500 motor.
Yeah.
So,
well, we got another option. Whether it's good or not,
I'm sure we'll see one in person at some point, and then I'll be able to really check it out.
All right, buddy. Here's the other big breaking industry news we have tonight. We have talked at length on this program about KTM, their financial troubles, the fact of Bajaj coming to the rescue, and you are seeing absolutely massive changes when it comes to KTM structure and the way they're going to operate from nowadays. Here we go. We are ready to restructure. Bajaj ownership stake in KTM has meant drastic changes, which are starting immediately. Rajiv Bajaj, who is the CEO now, has went on record recently with CNBC citing that KTM's strategic and operational greed, along with a vast problem in the workforce, has brought to their downfall. The management overhead and bureaucracy in this otherwise excellent organization were astonishing. That's a direct quote from him. He has claimed that for every 1,000 blue-collar workers who actually produced motorcycles, there were 3,000 overpaid white-collar workers who were essentially unnecessary personnel. His plan calls for a 50% reduction in their overhead, which includes research and development, marketing, racing, and general administration. Here we go, man. Here we go.
There it is, R&D and racing. That's it.
I mean,
KTM
is dead as we know, dude. It's gone.
The idea of KTM withdrawing from racing, like the Dakar and stuff like that, is absolutely disgusting. That's what sold your brand. Win on Sunday, sell on Monday. That was it.
Yeah. You know,
it's just disappointing.
It really is. There was a lot of video clips floating around. I don't know if it was him or the kind of empty chair CEO, which was what the Top Golf guy now, I think. He was no, that was the Harley guy that I'm thinking is the Top Golf guy now. But anyway, they were talking about how he basically come right out and said that if he can find a part cheaper manufactured in China, they're going to use it compared to using their own Austrian-made stuff. So, the death knell was on the wall. We knew this was happening, but to hear the now basically CEO come out publicly and say this is very concerning for the future of KTM.
Yeah,
we've said it before, dude. That ready to race motto and the image of being Austrian design manufactured, it's done. It is completely gone out the window.
They're still going to milk that cow of Austrian engineering into oblivion. You can probably go back and find the episode I talked about it. You will be paying $14,000 for a bargain barrel, bottom of the bucket built bike with barely passable parts.
Yes,
that they are going to tell you is engineered in Austria, and they're sourcing components from the lowest, the lowest bidder.
Exactly.
That was the whole point of buying a KTM. There's a lot of guys that trash on them. I love mine. Most of the guys I ride with that have them also have enjoyed them and had good service out of them. The point was that you were getting a machine that was a little bit more forward thinking than some of the traditional Japanese built machines. Lighter parts, more consistent parts updates, model changes, etc. For all that to go away, if it does, what fills the void? How on earth is Husqvarna going to serve as like the flagship boutique brand? It's going to say Husqvarna by Bajaj. It's just unbelievable.
I will say, at least if you're looking at this objectively and not as a fan of them as we are, you cannot deny that Bajaj itself is not a very successful company. They make motorcycles all over the world, and they are driven purely by profit, and they are an extremely profitable company. But that image and reputation of the cutting edge R&D, like you said, being willing to try new things and different things and taking that racing information.
Bajaj was not building race bikes. They were building commuter bikes.
They're building commuter bikes.
For all intents and purposes, they're good at it. But these aren't commuter bikes.
Yeah. And
I hope for the sake of the brand and for the sake of the hobby moving forward that my concerns are unfounded and I'm proven wrong, and they can just take this and get it over the rough patch of restructuring, and then KTM can survive on as a reasonable option for the hobby, because there's really not a lot of lightweight, like enduro oriented dual sports out there.
There's really not. And I think this is really going to open the door for other manufacturers such as Sherco and Raiju and Beta to kind of fill that gap of being the European cream of the crop dual sport and adventure motorcycles. We'll see what happens, man. It's a story we will continue to follow.
Yeah, I'd like to see Raju get the naming rights to Gas back. That'd be cool.
It's probably going to happen, I would say. Like we said before, Raju will become Gas again. BMW might end up owning Husqvarna for the third time, and KTM will just be Indian owned. So we'll see what happens. And that's going to lead us to tonight's last segment, and certainly not least, a little Had to Lay Her Down.
Did you run into some clippings? Did Barb take the kids? Well, Hoss, maybe you had to lay her down.
This week's Had to Lay Her Down is brought to us by our good friend of the program, Mr. Ryan Melton, MXG Ryan. This clip was floating around and blew up all over social media from last weekend's Ironman GNCC. So let's lay the backstory here for you a little bit. There were over 2,500 entrants into the final round of the GNCC series at Ironman. It always ends up being a absolute just crazy house show of spectators. They're tapping into that Midwest market of people that maybe they haven't got to do a lot of the East Coast GNCCs, and this is their chance to shine. And then let's be frank, it's the last round of the year, so you have all of these class championships coming down to this last final event in a lot of cases. And there's a hill climb there at the Ironman that's pretty well known, and it's almost as famous as Howard's Hole at GNCC or Snowshoe. And there's a lot of going into this. So this is basically people clippings, and this goes to show you that this is a dangerous sport, and the amount of spectators and craziness that you have at these full-scale national events is starting to get concerning. And I watched this several times, and not only is this lady getting smacked bad enough, but I'll show you another little scene that a lot of people didn't even see to begin with. We'll let this clip play. So you can see lady broke her ankle getting hit trying to follow her friend across the track. And you're at the top of the hill climb during the pro class. You can't see what's coming up the hill. This is terrible on her part, but I don't know if you can see. We'll let this clip play. She gets hit and changes his direction, and there's actually a child laying right there on the ground in between those two trees. So not only does that pro rider hit the girl, but he also ends up hitting this kid. So you have two really bad situations here. You've got a woman that's drunk, not paying attention, running across the track. Not only did she hit that guy and cause herself to be injured, but you have somebody that's not being a good parent, letting the child lay in a horrible place on the track on the ground, get ran over as well. Just an absolutely bad situation all along with that head to lay.
Yeah, I saw people blaming the racer. That
Totally
dude's there to
not.
race. That dude's there to race. That's the whole purpose of why he's there. It's not a good idea to cross the racetrack, especially if you can hear bikes. It's not a good idea. It's also really not a good idea to just have your kid like laying on the ground anywhere close to the racetrack. I know that there's been a couple instances. I've went to local hare scrambles, and you catch people standing on the outside of a turn at the end of a long straightaway, right where it goes back in the woods, like a tight, sharp turn. They're standing on the outside of it. People overshoot it. Where do you think they're going to go?
Yeah.
Right into you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I mean, I think people are largely removed from the fact that it's dangerous to even spectate.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
you got to let's face it. You know, GNCC hare scramble and off road racing is one of the last motorsports where spectators can get right up on the action and see it firsthand. You know, I can think, and you obviously know this as well, about the horrible incidences back in the 80s with Group B rally, with the people being right on the track.
Oh, yeah.
We're really starting to get to that point here. So, you know, if you're going to go and watch one of these events, be smart. You know, don't try to cross the track at the top of a hill climb where the guy's got a wide open run to try to make it to the top anyway. He's going to not be able to slow down. Like, I don't like crossing the track whenever I have a 3-mile line of sight and I can see what's coming at me anyway. So,
yeah,
just a bad situation. Just a bad situation. So,
well, hopefully the kid's okay.
Yeah, I think the kid was actually okay. It was the drunk lady that ended up breaking her ankle, but
I can bolt that back together.
Yeah, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us tonight here on episode 93, Throttle Therapy. Hopefully you guys got a little therapy out of this as well. I know I did. And any other closing thoughts, Trevor?
Not off the top of my head.
Sounds good, man.
Oh, what was it you wanted me to say? Was it maybe the true friends were the hogs we cranked along the way?
That's it. That was it. Yeah. You always got to forget that, man. Crank your hog, brother, and crank your hog with your brothers. Brother. God bless y'all. Hopefully Barb didn't take the kids. And we'll see you next time on Tallboys
and Trackmasters. Thanks.
See y'all.